By the time John D. Rockefeller was in his 60s, his personal fortune was larger than the combined GDP of dozens of small countries. He had quietly invested in railroads, iron mines, steel, and countless other industries, creating invisible threads of power across the nation. He turned what others discarded into cash. Waste products from oil refining became gasoline, fueling a revolution that no one saw coming. He manipulated markets with silent agreements that no one noticed until it was too late. Even when financial panic struck, banks collapsed, and industries faltered, he thrived. While ordinary businessmen worried about survival, he treated crises as opportunities to expand, tighten control, and multiply wealth. By the end of this episode, you will see how a man who seemed untouchable could face the full force of the law, survive the public outrage, and convert every attack into an even bigger empire. He had constructed Standard Oil like a machine. Every railroad, every refinery, every shipment was a gear turning under his direction. Silent agreements, secret deals, and hidden rebates gave him an edge that was invisible to competitors. He controlled who got contracts, who survived in the market, and who went bankrupt. He was untouchable until the eyes of a nation turned on him. The government launched investigations because they could no longer ignore his monopoly. Laws existed, but they were often bypassed by corporations. Standard Oil had become too big, too powerful, and too secretive. They controlled nearly 90% of the oil refining market in some regions. This dominance triggered antitrust laws, the first real attempt to regulate monopoly power in America. Lawsuits piled up in states across the country. Investigators, senators, and prosecutors meticulously documented bribery, secret ownership of competitors, predatory pricing, and railroad manipulation. They presented thousands of exhibits, called hundreds of witnesses, and examined tens of thousands of pages of evidence. The federal government struck Standard Oil with the largest lawsuit in American history to that point. By May 1911, the Supreme Court ruled Standard Oil must be dissolved and reorganized into separate unaffiliated companies. Many thought this would destroy Rockefeller, but the opposite happened. He still owned a share in every new company. When the stocks opened for trading, his fortune increased significantly. A company broken into pieces multiplied his control and wealth instead of diminishing it. The public believed they had won. They had no idea they had watched one of the cleverest strategies in modern business. With his wealth secure, Rockefeller turned to philanthropy, applying the same strategy and precision that had built his empire. He did not give randomly. He built a machine of generosity designed to last beyond his lifetime. Hospitals, universities, laboratories, and libraries received strategic donations to shape science, education, and society. His giving was so vast that he became known as a saint, yet behind the public image lay a man who had once crushed rivals without mercy. He founded the Rockefeller Foundation in 1913. His son and Frederick Gates, the former Baptist minister who had managed Rockefeller Investments, helped him structure the foundation to maximize impact. Together, they created a system that distributed billions over decades. John personally gave over $540 million, and Frederick and his son donated hundreds of millions more. The foundation focused on education and medicine, saving hundreds of thousands of lives and reshaping societies. His legacy went far beyond money. Rockefeller converted wealth into influence. His systems of control became templates for the corporations that followed. Apple, Amazon, modern finance, and countless multinational companies use strategies that echo his obsession with scale, efficiency, and centralization. He had achieved something few understood. He converted patience into power, chaos into order, and competition into control. He did not simply build wealth. He built a blueprint that would outlive him. By the time he died in 1937 at the age of 97, Rockefeller had been called visionary, tycoon, philanthropist, and giant. The reality is simpler. He engineered his empire, mastered the art of invisible power, and created a system that still runs through the arteries of modern capitalism. The boy who once left school to help feed his family became the man who built a monopoly, faced national scrutiny, survived public outrage, transformed his image, and left a system that never dies. Subscribe to follow more stories about the people who quietly shape the world through power, strategy, and relentless ambition.